Hello out there, this is everything you need to know about Mage Knight board game. We are on part 3. This was intended to be the part about the player area, but I omitted an important detail that I really want to cover before I get to that part. I've already explained what this game board is. This is the Fame and Reputation track. And I've already explained the mana. You have your 4 basic colors of mana, 12 red tokens, 12 blue, 12 white, 12 green. You have 3 black and 3 gold mana tokens. You also have the mana dice here. I indicated that you'll be able to use 1 die per player per turn to represent a basic color of mana, day or night. And during day rounds you'll be able to use a gold mana die to represent any of the 4 basic colors. During night rounds you'll be able to use a black mana die to supercharge a spell if you have the basic color of mana to charge the spell, and I'll explain that later. For now, just worry about gold is only used during the day, black is only used during at night, and if you're using gold, you're using it as a wild card. So I didn't explain where you get these dice from, and that is going to be the other part of the board. There are 2 boards in this game, and this is the day-night board. This side is day, and this side is night. For the training scenario, and for most different adventures you're going to play with this game, you're going to start with the day, you're going to play a round, and then you turn this over and you play a night round. For the training scenario, you're only going to play 3 rounds total. You're going to play a day round, followed by a night round, followed by a second day round, and then the game is over, whether you've completed the objective or not. So let's look at what this board has. On the left side, you'll notice all these numbers on different color hexes. These represent the different terrains that you'll encounter during the game. You have plains, hills, forests, wastelands, deserts, and swamps. You also have cities, lakes, and mountains. These numbers reflect the amount of movement you would need to generate to move into one of these spaces. Now, you don't have to worry about the movement cost to move out of the spaces, it's how much to move into the spaces. So for example, if you had 2 points of movement and your adjacent space is a plains, you could spend those 2 points of movement and move into a space with this light green color. If you have 3 points of movement and an adjacent space is this hill, which you can see because it's kind of 3-dimensional the way it looks, you can also tell by the color, you could spend the movement to get into that hill. Now I look at this wasteland and I think this looks like a Triscuit cracker. You ever had the Triscuit snack crackers? It just looks like that. Maybe I just haven't had lunch. Anyway, it would require 4 movement to move into a wasteland and 5 movement to move into a swamp. You'll encounter wastelands and swamps later as you explore. They're not going to come up in the earlier tiles. I left out these 2 intentionally because this is where it gets a little complex with movement. Imagine you're going through a forest during the day. The sun's shining down, you have a lot of visibility, you see all the trees, the branches, all the foliage, and it only requires 3 movement during the day. However, it requires 5 movement at night because it's dark and you have no visibility and you can't see your hand in front of your face. At night, a desert would only require 3 points of movement to move through. It's flat. You can see everything. It's cool, it's sandy, it's only 3 movement to get through a desert at night. But during the day with the sun bearing down on you, it would require 5 points of movement. So plains are 2, hills are 3, wastelands are 4, and swamps are 5. Forests are 3 during the day and 5 at night. Deserts are 5 during the day and 3 at night. In this scenario, we're only trying to find the city, because we're just trying to learn the mechanics of the game, so you're only going to find the city. But if you were able to move into the city, it would require 2 points of movement, regardless of the terrain in the city. Lakes and mountains cannot be entered unless you have a specific card or an effect that allows you to do so. You cannot go into a lake or a mountain. And everything is the same on the night side, except obviously it's harder to move into a forest and easier to move into a desert. Now this space over here is called the source. This represents the universe as we know it. This is where all the magic is, and this is where all the mana is kept. So I'm going to take these mana dice here. The way I calculate how many dice I'm going to use. I'm going to use 2 dice plus 1 for each player in the game. So in a solitaire game, I would have 3 dice. In a 2-player game, I'd have 4. A 3-player game, I'd have 5. And in a 4-player game, I'd have 6. So if this game plays up to 4 players, you might be wondering why there's a 7th mana die here. This stays off to the side with the mana bank. It's there in case you need to roll a die at any point. You have that die you can roll, and you can leave these alone. So at the beginning of the round, what's going to happen is you're going to roll these dice. Try to get them all on the board there. And you're going to have basic colors. So for this round, for example, we would be able to use green, red, or white mana. What would happen is a player can take one of these mana dice if he doesn't have a crystal or can't get a mana from the mana bank. Use one of these dice to charge a card or pay a mana of a specific color. And then at the end of his turn, let's say he took green this turn. Okay, so he uses green, his turn's over. First thing he does is rolls the die, and he comes up with black. Now during the daytime, you can see this area over here is a little bit darker. It's like a storm is coming, or more likely, night is approaching. Like I said, you can't use black mana during the day. So any black mana that you roll during the day is depleted. That is, it goes over here and you're not going to use these dice. You're only down to these dice now. So thematically, consider it this way. As night approaches, more and more dice over here are black. That's just a sign that darkness is falling soon and all the mana in the universe is black. Also, when you roll these dice at the beginning of the round, at least half of them, in this case 3 or more, would have to be of a basic color. That is red, blue, white, or green. If they're not, you re-roll them until that's so. At the end of your round, you're going to start a night round. What you do there is flip the board over, the day-night board, and roll the dice again. Now as you can see, we have all red and white dice. This one's blue, so I'll re-roll that. Okay, it stays blue. If we were to roll a gold, that gold mana would be depleted, and just like the black during daytime, it would be cast over here to the side. We would not use that die. It would be gone for the entire round, unless someone had a card or an effect that allowed us to use it. So that explains what these 2 boards are for. You have the Fame and Reputation track. Fame is over here, Reputation's over here. You have the Day-Night board, which, in addition to letting you know your movement costs, also has the source where all the dice are kept. These dice are active for that particular round, and you know about the mana bank. These are mana that you would take if you put a crystal in your inventory. You would take one of these. If you used a mana of any color, you would take one of these. You would never take a black or a gold for a crystal because those 2 colors can never be used in crystal form. You also have an extra mana die right here in case you need one to roll. So I hope that explains everything you need to know about the day-night board. You now know a little more about the components in the box. Also, if you're not sure what specific areas these terrains are, there is a reference card in the game called Move Costs. And on the other side it says Crystal Mines and Magical Glade. But for right now we're going to worry about this side. Move Costs will inform you that these are plains, forests, deserts, lakes, mountains, swamps, wastelands, and hills. It'll also let you know that if you're at the edge of a map tile and you wish to explore, you have to spend 2 points of movement for each tile that you're exploring. And if you could explore 2 different tiles, you have to declare which direction you're exploring. And then once you've done that, you can't change it. You have to decide which way you want to explore, either north or northwest, before you declare. Spend the 2 move points, and then you can add a new tile. By the way, you can do this multiple times in a turn if you're able to explore multiple tiles. You just spend 2 movement per tile that you explore. And again, in future scenarios, you'll be able to enter the city and interact. This means that you would spend 2 movement to enter the city. Also, if you were assaulting the city, doesn't matter if it's in a desert, in a swamp, whatever, if you're going into the city, it only requires 2 points of movement. That seems like a good place to stop. Next time I will talk about the player area, but you can see already how far along we are. We have our first reference card. We have all 6 of the colors of mana here in our bank. We have our mana dice, both in the bank and on the source. We have our day-night board, and we have our Fame and Reputation track. So this is all coming together a little bit better, and pretty soon you'll have no problem playing this game. Anyway, I hope this has helped and hope this has been useful. Please leave any comments, suggestions, objections, or questions in the comment section. GLHF. Good luck. Have fun.